despite my best efforts, I have once again screwed the pooch. Same thing happened as before with my microphone. It did not work when I was attempting to record. Therefore, a mistake has been made, and on the next 3 recordings, that's going to be episode 37 through 39, I lost all of my commentary. So, as you can imagine, I'm a little tiffed about that. Just a little bit. So I'm basically just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, like, what else can you do? So we're gonna have to go back to the format of dubbing over the video like I had done so before. So here we go. This is me exploring Ulysseal Township. This is the area after Artorias, the unquestioned hardest boss fight thus far in the game. It is pathetic how much harder he is than everybody else. Now, the reason why I'm coming down here is I am missing a specific item. The last thing left here in the DLC's Black Dragon Kalameet. He is the last boss enemy available to fight in the DLC. So, I noticed at one point that there is a room in the Colosseum that I don't seem to be able to enter. That door is actually the entrance to Hawkeye Goof. He is the last of Lord Gwyn's knights. You've seen, I'm wearing Ornstein's armor, I killed Artorias, and then the female knight, I don't know how her name is pronounced, I think it's like Ciara or something, who I gave Artorias' soul to, is the final knight of Gwyn. I haven't met Goof yet, but apparently he is able to help you with your fight against the dragon. Because as you saw at the end of the last video, the dragon came out of nowhere, just firebombed the area and smoked my ass like a brisket. So what I need to do then to deal with that issue is, if you can manage to speak to Goof, he will, he's an archer, he's actually a giant. He will take out his great bow and shoot the dragon down so you can fight him in a one-on-one scenario. But in order for me to do that, I need to find the key. And that's why I'm back down here. I learned that I had actually missed the key. The key is somewhere down here. So I had to go looking for it. It is not that way. You're going to see me go in here at some point, and it's not that way. It's actually back here. That way leads to the Abyss. And as you saw in my previous fight with Manus, that's where you would go in this instance. So, me going to look in here, I'm under the impression that the guide said that there was a path off to the right. So that's what I'm actually looking for here. But that's not what I needed. The path to the right is actually further back into the township. Now, I was trying to go slow so as not to aggro that chain fucker at the other end of the room. As you can see, I failed miserably. However, not a particularly hard enemy, just give him a wide berth. That tracking overhead there is really the only move with him you need to avoid. In my first trip down here, you guys probably saw I got squished flat by that move a couple times. But there's a bonfire right beyond here. It's not that big a deal. I'm kind of surprised, though, that guy's not a reoccurring enemy type that shows up in any other portion of the game. And it's right there that I learned that that way only goes to the Abyss, so that's not right. Uh, overall this section of the DLC isn't that bad. But I mean, like you're really only the only reason to even get the DLC is just to fight the optional boss enemies. Um, Despite how salty I got, the fight with Artorias is probably one of the best fights in the game. Now, at some point, I gotta read the creature compendium for this game, because I would like to know what some of these enemies are called. But these guys are clearly possessed by Manus, because they have the same head, have the same red eyes on the head. Excuse me. And there's clearly one of those sorcerer fuckers sitting right above me. And Estus at this point isn't a problem, because I'm not looking to complete this section. I already know what's going on. Yeah, the shield that I have there, the crest shield, I would absolutely recommend that shield for anybody playing this game. I think it's like 80% magic reduction and 100% physical. So it is absolutely a worthwhile shield to get from Oscar of Astora once you return to the Undead Asylum. Yeah, and then up here. This game absolutely puts you on your. Playing this puts you on edge, because you never know when you're going to be attacked. You find yourself running when you have your shield up all the time. But anybody who plays this without a shield, yeah, you're huge balls you've got. Because blocking is important. Now, it was at this point that I wasn't sure whether or not you were supposed to jump that, because you can see that there's a chest over there. But again, these guys aren't particularly threatening. Yeah, the chest is actually in that area that that's across the way from here. Excuse me. I'm pretty sure, based on the way that that looks, that that particular enemy type is shooting humanity at you. It's like getting punked in the face with a big old blast of human. Yep, and then I figured out where I was again and banked right. Again, I apologize. I believe I'm getting a cold. 3 strikes and you're out. Moral of the story, kids. Rather 2 morals. 1, target lock on your enemy. 2, smack the chest with an attack at first, just to make sure it's not a mimic. Were I not a dexterity build, I would not have been able to slap that many rapid-fire attacks. But as you saw, that was a crest key. That was the key that I had been searching for. And now that I've got it, it's not a whole lot of reason now for me to hang around. Yeah, I wasn't sure what that rope did. I was kind of wondering if whether or not there was a body or something attached to it. But now it's a sprint back to the bonfire. Or rather, the elevator. And then sit and heal. Okay. Now we're gonna go see Hawkeye Goof, who I have to say, probably one of the cooler NPCs in the game. Tremendous giant badass. And with his help comes the ability to fight Black Dragon Kalameet. Seriously, look at that guy. I also love that he's got that voice that's like, whenever you, in shows when, like, you see someone has, like, been drugged or, like, is, like, way too drunk or something, and then they have this, ridiculous, low voice. Yeah, Goof's great arrow. That was actually the item that, showed me that he's actually an archer.
Knights fought exhilaration, thou will understand. At our twilight, old thoughts.
Yeah, at that point I had exhausted his dialogue, and I was kind of wondering what I needed to do. But I'd already visited the dragon at this point. So,
as thou seest fit.
Yeah, I was definitely under duress.
Tomorrow is the Black Dragon. Yes, he's called Kalameet. Ferocious dragon indeed. Even mighty Analonda dared not provoke his ire. I see little good coming from this, but thy intent is to persevere to the bitter end. Good, good. I'll take it, and I owe thee much for thy service to Artorias. Now...
And this is like one of the coolest sequences in the game.
Dragons.
Yep, done playing with Marok. I didn't even notice initially that this big friggin' thing behind him was a bow. Because keep in mind, as this guy said, he's blind. And that's not so much an arrow as a piston he's firing. Owned. Yep, and now that Kalameet has been temporarily downed, if you run back to the spot where I initially got put to the torch, you can fight him on foot. And much like Sif or any of the other larger big monster type enemies in this game, you can pretty much take him to task if you get up underneath him and just swing away. As you're going to see with the upcoming fight, I didn't have any issues with this fight at all, now that I was able to actually attack the dragon. So let's just wait while I get there. Yes. I believe, yeah, at this point, just to make sure that I had a relatively unfair advantage over the dragon, I decided to run all the way back to the Sanctuary Garden, specifically just so I could get my Estus to 15. Which I've learned is, like, you can, in some cases, you can power an Estus up to, Estus Flask up to 20, and have 20 healing items. I've never needed that many. There's no enemy in the game that I wasn't able to kill with 15 or 10. So you most likely don't need to power your Estus up that high. I wouldn't say do it any more than kindle a bonfire twice. And that's only if you know that you're in for a rough boss fight. 10 usually do you pretty well. Yep, and then now to have to prevent so I can not have to make that run back again, I just warped basically across the stage, and then it's on to fight the dragon. This way, I'm going into the fight with my weapon, armor, and healing items at perfection. Gave myself the best possible chance against the dragon. The only thing I probably could have done to improve this fight against the dragon, at least with my character's current items, probably would have been to change my shield. The dragon does fire damage, obviously, because he's a dragon. So a shield with a higher fire resistance than the one that I'm using probably would have been worthwhile, but yeah, it's not going to matter, as you're going to see. I love these dogs because they look like jaguars. They don't look like dogs. Yeah, unlike most bosses, you actually get to go through that fog door and walk a little bit before you aggro the boss. And that's where I died. And again, the goal, specifically with large beast-type enemies, get underneath them. Their attacks are not designed to be able to hit in that spot. They have a couple of attacks to force you out of there, but they're not designed to fight you from that area. See, the fire in that case probably would have done me significant damage. this fighting these creatures, it's kind of reminiscent of what a quote that Pippin uses in Lord of the Rings, which is the closer you are to danger, the farther you are from harm. I can assure you that is not the case with some of the human enemies. You can inflict bleed on this boss, as you guys just saw with my weapon. Uchigatana, yeah, would totally recommend it. Absolutely worth, was absolutely worth killing the merchant and undead bird for it. Almost got into trouble here. But again, blocking saves your life. And that's it. Oh yeah, and that item you get from killing Kalameet there. Most bullshit ring ever. That is for true masochists, because all it does is double the amount of damage you take from enemies. Honestly, its only purpose is to say, look how big my dick is. Yep, and that completed the, that fight completes the DLC. There was only one thing left in it that, frankly, I don't even feel counts. When you initially enter the DLC and you fight the Sanctuary Guardian, who is that Manticore with wings, apparently there are 2 of them now in the area where you originally fought the first one. I already beat the first one. So I elected to not do that, because I have nothing to prove at this point. And now it's off to tell Guff the good news that the dragon has been annihilated. I don't like to turn on the NPCs who generally help me out. So I refuse to, because you can actually kill Guff to get some of it, to get his armor and I think his bow. But he just gives you the bow just out of the kindness of his big dumb giant heart. So I didn't kill him. I just let him give me the bow. I have no desire to wear his armor. Same deal with Ciara, or whatever the hell her name is, who you gave Artorias' soul to. You can kill her to get her armor and weapons, but she gives the weapons freely.
Why? Thou hast defeated Kalameet? That beast?
Yeah, it's...
I shot me. I know not thy...
Yeah, at this point I had already defeated Manus. But you didn't know that.
It's but the awoke One's the
Manus of the Abyss is actually supposed to be the end boss of this particular section. But I've already killed him at this point. Who, again, giant beast enemy. Stick to him. And do some major damage. A lot of people I know fought that fight from a distance. Specifically just waiting for him to do that overhand smash with his hand. And then to just wail on his hand. And then I prefer to just stay right up against him and just smack the shit out of him. Yep, becoming beastie. Because you can never have too much attack power. Based on the fact that I have 32,000 souls left, and it's 50 some odd to go up another level. So I just use some of the soul items that I find here. I'm still sitting on a whole bunch of boss souls that can either be converted into boss weapons or just use them to get souls to level up. Stats are looking pretty good at this point. Yeah, I'm kind of OCD about my armor and everything being in perfect condition. And there's a reason for that you're actually going to see when I get a couple areas away. Yeah, and some of the other playthroughs I've seen from other gamers online, they recommend trying to keep your inventory as clean as possible, at least with respect to equipment. I can totally understand why they would feel like that at this point, because you find a lot of stuff out in the field, and if you're going to switch to something on the fly, so from your inventory box as opposed to doing it with something that you have directly equipped to reduce equipment load. You should absolutely have not so much stuff in your inventory so you can just do that. Yeah, I kept all of the bows and stuff on me, which was a moot point because I never use anything that isn't the longbow, because I'm only using it to draw guys off. Yeah, see, that would have been a good shield to use in that fight because it's got a much higher damage resistance for fire. Yes. That's a great ring. In regards to equipment, specifically when you're farming for particular items like humanity. I would absolutely recommend putting that on. And this is when I realized that was not the one that I wanted. I wanted the sanctuary, I wanted the Ulasil sanctuary, not the sanctuary garden. Because otherwise I would have wandered back into that section and then been forced to fight two of the Sanctuary Guardians. Which would have been a hot load of bullshit. And I think the last thing I did here was speak to the mushroom. Pretty sure I talked to the mushroom. No? Yes. Now I remember. The reasoning behind going to the Undead Parish at this point is because I'm going to take a trip through Darkroot Garden and then the Darkroot Basin. Looking for the princess person who originally allowed me to start the DLC. Just to confirm that everything was finished. You might remember this person I fought as a golden golem behind where I fought the Hydra in Darkroot Basin. In many ways, I felt kind of bad retracing my steps through this area because at this stage I was a tank. I can absolutely see why people just put off going into other games and stuff and just hang out where they can randomly kill players all the time. There's actually a much closer shortcut that I could have taken through the Undead Burg. However, I don't remember particularly where the staircase was that leads out the back of Darkroot Basin. It's in that tower where I fought Havel the Rock. You might remember him. He was, I was feeling really confident after I had killed some other stuff, so I came out to fight that guy and just got my ass smashed. And here's a good indicator of how strong I've become. In the beginning, those guys took a bunch of hits to put down, and the goal was to not attract more than one at a time. Now it's 2 hits with my katana, and it's death. They don't even have to be a stab and another form of a hit. Just 2 basic hits, and it's done. Just like that. And then for purposes of not slogging on this water, this is why you would put on the rusted iron ring. Big help. Absolutely worth having that thing on. And I'd kind of hoped that the princess was going to be here, but she's not. And that kind of concluded the DLC. So I kind of gave a meh. Unfortunately, that's not the end of the dub episodes, so we'll pick this up next time.